Vice President Kamala Harris has decided on Minnesota Gov. Tim Walz as her running mate in her bid for the White House. The 60-year-old Democrat and military veteran rose to the forefront with a series of plain-spoken television appearances in the days after President Joe Biden decided not to seek a second term. He has made his state a bastion of liberal policy, and this year one of the few states to protect fans buying tickets online for Taylor Swift concerts and other live events. Walz comes from rural America. It would be hard to find a more vivid representative of the American heartland than Walz. Born in West Point, Nebraska, a community of about 3,500 people northwest of Omaha, Walz joined the Army National Guard and became a teacher in Nebraska. He and his wife moved to Mankato in southern Minnesota in the 1990s. That's where he taught social studies and coached football at Mankato West High School, including for the 1999 team that won the first of the school's 4 state championships. He still points to his union membership there. Walz served 24 years in the Army National Guard, rising to Command Sergeant Major, one of the highest enlisted ranks in the military, although he didn't complete all the training before he retired, so his rank for benefits purposes was set at Master Sergeant. In his first race for Congress, Walz upset a Republican incumbent. That was in 2006 when he won in a largely rural southern Minnesota congressional district against 6th-term Republican Gil Gutknecht. Walz capitalized on voter anger with then-President George Bush and the Iraq War. During 6 terms in the U.S. House, Walz championed veterans issues. He's also shown a down-to-earth side, partly through social media video posts with his daughter Hope. One last fall showed them trying a Minnesota State Fair ride, the Slingshot, after they bantered about fair food and her being a vegetarian. But behind all that, here are some interesting facts about the Tim Walz. He is a very recent social media darling. Walz has enjoyed a groundswell of support online from users commenting on his Midwestern dad vibes and appealing ordinariness. Walz has been in the spotlight recently due to his active presence on social media, where he engages with constituents, shares updates on state initiatives, and discusses key issues such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. His approachable style and willingness to address a variety of topics have contributed to his growing popularity online. His leadership during events like the COVID-19 pandemic and civil unrest in Minnesota has also drawn significant attention and interaction on social media platforms. He started the whole weird thing. It was Walz who labeled former President Donald Trump and his running mate Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio weird on cable television just a couple of weeks ago. The description soon became a Democratic talking point. Walz began his career as a high school teacher and football coach before entering politics. His focus in office has often been on education, veterans affairs, and health care. He named a highway after Prince and signed the bill in purple ink. "I think we can lay to rest that this is the coolest bill signing we'll ever do," he said, as he put his name on legislation declaring a stretch of Highway 5 the Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway after the musician who had lived in Minnesota. Tim Walz's decision to name a highway after Prince and sign the bill in purple ink is a tribute to the iconic musician who was a Minnesota native. Prince, known for his unique musical style and his use of the color purple, remains a significant cultural figure. The gesture by Governor Walz is both a recognition of Prince's impact on music and culture and a way to honor his legacy within the state. He taught in China in 1989 and speaks some Mandarin. He went to China for a year after graduating from college and taught English there through a program affiliated with Harvard University. Tim Walz taught in China during the year 1989. This experience would have been quite significant given the historical context and cultural differences. Teaching abroad, particularly in a country like China, suggests he was involved in education and cross-cultural exchange at a critical time in China's history. As a result of his time in China, Walz learned some Mandarin, the official language of China and the most widely spoken language in the world. Being able to speak Mandarin, even to a limited extent, indicates his effort to engage more deeply with the local culture and community. This international teaching experience likely provided Walz with valuable perspectives and skills such as cross-cultural communication, adaptability, and an understanding of global issues. He was a rare breed in Congress, a Democrat from the rural Midwest. For more than a decade, Mr. Walz represented Minnesota's 1st District in the southern part of the state. He was the top Democrat on the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, supported funding for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, voted for the Affordable Care Act, and voted against restricting federal funding for abortion. This part of the statement explains what makes him unique. The rural Midwest of the United States, which includes areas like southern Minnesota, is often politically conservative and more likely to elect Republican representatives. Therefore, a Democrat from this region, like Tim Walz, is relatively unusual. Walz's success as a Democrat in a predominantly rural and conservative area underscores his ability to appeal to a broad range of voters and address diverse issues relevant to his constituents. He was an early supporter of gay rights. At Mankato West High School in Minnesota in the 1990s, he sponsored a gay-straight alliance and has said it was important at that time for the sponsor to be the football coach, who was the soldier and was straight and was married. When he won his House seat in 2006 in a conservative district, he ran on support for same-sex marriage. This implies that he began advocating for gay rights at a time when it was less common to do so, possibly when it was more controversial or less accepted by the general public. This refers to the movement aimed at achieving equal rights and social acceptance for individuals who identify as gay, protection against discrimination based on sexual orientation in areas such as employment, housing, and public accommodations.